Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CSTV. I'm your host, Kathleen Egaltoto, Madam CS, and this is The Striker. Stay tuned and have it true and real. In The Striker today, we are looking at actually the security implications of President Ruto lifting the vetting requirement that is normally done on the residents of the borders here in Kenya when they are getting their national IDs. Now, President Ruto concluded his a developmental tour of the Northern Frontier District. And this tour actually had a lot of goodies delivered to the people of the Northern Frontier District. He visited Mandera, Wachia, Isiolo, and Marsabit County, Mandera, Wachia, and Isiolo. And from the visit, he was able to open projects, commission roads, but that is not actually the major thing. The gist was actually number one, the opening of the migration office in the Northern Frontier District, and number two, the lifting of the vetting of the border residents when they are actually applying for national IDs. Of course, the residents welcomed it with a lot of happiness, a lot of, excitement, etc. But there was a lot of mixed reactions from other facets of the country and from different people. Now today, I want us to actually look at what could be the security implication of such an exercise. Remember, since independence, not even Kenyatta 1, not even President Moi, not even President Kibaki, who was even more open and more democratic, and not even President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta ever thought of lifting that vetting process, leave alone opening the border between Kenya and Somalia. But ever since President Ruto came into power, every day we wake up onto a surprise. Now this is going to form the basis of this discussion. However, before we dive in, if you are new to this channel, welcome home, karibu nyumbani. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment on our videos so that the next time we're uploading a video, YouTube will automatically notify you. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning in. Kindly remember to like, share, and comment on our videos. And yeah, tell us on the next theme that you want us actually to analyze. Now, onto our discussion. By lifting the vetting step in the application of the national IDs by the border residents, especially the northern part of Kenya, President Ruto actually is telling us something. Number one, it's important that we understand that vetting is not only done on the Somalis. So this is not something against the Somalis or for the Somalis. Vetting is normally done to all border residents in this country. And those people who live maybe along the Busia-Uganda border, they can tell us this. Vetting happens to all border residents. So this is nothing about the Somalis, that they have been marginalized, etc. So when President Ruto comes out and tells us that he's lifting the vetting because, number one, these communities have had historical marginalization, it's just only using a people's problem, gaslight you a bit and make you look at him as a savior. This lifting had nothing to do with ending the marginalization. It has everything to do with the 2027 political ambitions. And I want to explain why before I tell you what the security impacts of this are. President Ruto has lost the mountain. He has lost the church. He has lost the youth. He knows very well that even the western forts that he's counting on, he does not have the entire western bloc. And so is the entire Nyanza bloc. And so is the entire coastal bloc. So he knows very well that actually the only bloc that he can rely on is Rift Valley, which is not so sure that everybody in the Rift Valley will vote for him. And therefore, he's trying to look for ways of actually compensating for the votes that he has lost in the areas that voted for him way back in 2022. And that's why he's a person in a panic mode who's moving from one region to another, promising a lot, and sometimes without putting into consideration some of the implications of the things that he's doing. And therefore, Having have understood the background against which that vetting was done, was removed, now let us look at the implications. Number one, by removing that actually vetting, it means that somebody can close the border, come to Kenya, apply as a Kenyan citizen. Meaning we would have foreigners coming to this country, applying as Kenyan citizens. Why? If a Somali lives in Somalia and comes to the northern part of Kenya, it will be very difficult to differentiate between a Kenyan Somali and a Somalia Somali, because the language is the same. A Turkana will go to Uganda, a Kalamochangi will come from Uganda and pose as a Turkana of Kenya and get a national ID. You know? A Jaluo, somebody will come from South Sudan and pose as a Jaluo of Kenya and get a national ID. And therefore, what President Ruto has done, while the other countries are busy closing their borders and securing their sovereignty and their state, President Ruto actually exposed our sovereignty and exposed our borders in a way that we are going to have many foreigners coming to our country, applying as citizens, simply because maybe they can be able to speak the local dialect fluently. So that is point number one. Point number two, we are going to have a situation whereby foreigners are likely to find their way to the Kenyan military. And you know, the easiest way to kill a country is to understand its military secrets. So when President Ruto is removing this vetting process or this vetting exercise along the residents of the borders, he's just making it easy for the foreign or for other countries to even send spies who will come in, join our military, you know, apply for IDs, pose as Kenyan citizens, join our military, learn the secrets, and use those secrets against us. Meaning, for example, if we go into war with Somalia, the country which we have had a lot of problems with, if we go into war with it, they have our secrets. Some of their people are in our military. So, when we think we are planning to attack them, their brothers have told them, this is what is happening, and we will never win that war. That is point number two. Point number three, the Al-Shabaab threat. I listened to the former police boss yesterday talk in the national television that, you know, Al-Shabaab is not about Somalia alone. We have Kenyan Al-Shabaabs. Yes, I agree, we have Al-Shabaab cells in Kenya. And I'm not disagreeing to that. But what happens when you have made it even easy for those Al-Shabaabs or for those people who are radicalized to actually enter our country? One of the reasons why for a long time we have been able actually to manage Al-Shabaab is because of that vetting. You know, the border was closed, there was checking along the borders, and there was vetting in terms of IDs. Now, you remove the vetting. Meaning, Al-Shabaab being very sharp people, they can send their militants into the country, go and pose as Kenyan citizens, get IDs, enter into the system. In fact, even enter the police, it only takes 9 months. And as I've always said, when a military group or a terrorist group wants to attack, it can even take 3 years planning for one attack. So they can send somebody, register as get a national ID in Kenya, enter the military, learn everything, you know, they get to know everything. So by the time they come to attack, they are attacking us. We are very much unaware. They have all the information. They have all the secrets. So the Al-Shabaab menace and attacks in this country is likely to go up with the removal of that vetting. So that is point number 3. Next is about the point number 4. Our next point is all about, you know, this vetting process played a very, very big role, especially when it came to aspects of, you know, we have the refugees in the northern frontier district, in Kakuma and Dadaab. And sometimes the living conditions in those refugees are not the best. Some of those refugees sometimes want to run away and integrate within the Kenyan system, you know. And because they lack national IDs, integration has always been an issue. So you can imagine right now, without vetting, those refugees can run from the refugee camps, get married, or, you know, get married, or even live with the local people, and then get national IDs, and then leave the refugee camps. So that means actually Kenya is not going to have control on who does it host and who it doesn't host as a refugee, as an asylum seeker, or as a refugee who has become a citizen. These are things that a country should have control over. But the fact that President Ruto has lifted that, right now it sounds so nice for him, because all he wants to do is to have those people register as voters and vote for him come 2027. But he should ask himself, once he has become a president of a country without sovereignty, of a country with exposed borders, of a country that does not know who is its citizen and who is not, what will become of that particular country? Eventually, he will throw this country into anarchy. My opinions, though. What are your opinions? Are you welcoming the fact that actually the president removed the vetting step along the border, among the border residents? Let me get your opinion in the comment section below. Kindly remember to like, share, and also subscribe. Bye-bye.